evening. Welcome to yoga. We're nearing the end of the year, which is a really good time to reflect and also to look forward. I don't like to spend too much time in rewind mode and looking back at the year. Um, I like to focus more on what's to come and what we can make of what's to come. So tonight we're just going to kind of do a little bit of a chill out practice. We are going to do some balancing work, just a little bit, um, and a little bit of strength. And then on New Year's Eve class, we are going to be doing some detoxification, kind of clearing out the old of 2021, preparing for the new year. Um, so let's start, as always, in a simple cross-legged pose. And I just want to point out here too, anytime we're in any kind of seated position or even like in child's pose or kneeling position, you can always fold up a blanket and put it underneath your butt, a pillow, a yoga block, whatever. Sometimes that just helps create a little bit more comfort for you. So feel free to modify that as you need. And let's just take a minute here and center ourselves. Nice deep breaths in. Let's roll those shoulders back a little bit. Anyone living in the north where it is below zero, we tend to hold our shoulders up to our ears even more than normal during this time of year, especially when we're driving and we're cold. So this is going to be a little bit also to warm up the body and to try to keep the shoulders down where they're supposed to be instead of where we carry them. So let's go ahead, take those arms out. We're just going to do some arm circles forward. And there is no right or wrong way to do these. Okay, so just go with what feels right for you. If you would rather make slow ones or subtle ones, go for it. If you want them to be big, make them as big as you want. When you bring your arms towards the back, I want you to focus on bringing the muscles in your back as tight and close together as you can. So this, like the shoulder blades or the scapulas, try to squeeze those together when you're doing this, and then open them when you're forward. And that really helps to loosen up some of that tension in the mid back. And then let's go ahead and reverse it. And same thing here. So you want to be opening the chest when you're going back, and then kind of letting that stretch happen between the shoulder blades when you go forward. Let's just do a couple more here. And let's bring the hands back down. Let's take a moment, concentrate on keeping those shoulders down, sitting bones firmly planted. And just some nice deep breaths in from the belly. And exhale, releasing. Let's go ahead and take a nice deep breath in, bringing the arms overhead, reaching up through the fingers. And exhale, release. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, release. Let's go ahead and take that right hand and just set it under the right leg. Bring that left arm up and over towards that right side. Nice deep breaths, and just try to keep that left side of the body down. And back to center. Left hand down, right arm up. And come back to center. Let's go ahead, take those hands, interlock the fingers, and just press the arms out in front of you. I want you just to try to keep the shoulder blades down as much as possible here. And then release. Let's go ahead and bring that left arm across the body. Bring that right arm and just press the arms gently together. Again, be mindful of keeping that shoulder blade down. And release. And same thing on the other side. And release. And let's take that left hand back to the back. Hold on to that left elbow with the right hand. Nice deep breaths here. And release. And then bring that right arm up, right hand to the back. Hold on to that elbow with the left hand. And release, shake it out. And let's go ahead and just bring the hands together behind the back, interlocking those fingers. Lift the arms up and away from the body and try to keep the back as straight as you can and the shoulder blades down. Head neutral. And release. Shake it out. Nice job. Let's bring those feet together. Hold on to the toes. Let's take some deep breaths in here and just lower the body down towards the legs. This is also a point where you can modify this by putting blankets underneath the knees or pillows, or you can then raise your butt up on a block or pillows or blankets. And just try to release a couple places here, okay? So first you want to release through these hip flexors and thighs. And then you want to release through the shoulders. And then come back up. And let's just hold on to the ankles and open up the chest and the belly as you bring the shoulders back and down, and still focusing on releasing those legs towards the floor. And release. Let's go ahead, come over on the hands and knees. And take a couple deep breaths in here. Try to feel that your body is balanced and centered. Keep that head nice and neutral so that you're just gazing towards the floor. And we're going to extend that left arm in front and that right leg behind. And then release. And then extend that right arm in front left leg behind. And release. Let's go ahead and come up into a downward dog, just pressing those heels towards the floor, pressing away from the hands. And then come back down to the knees. Let's go ahead, sit back on the legs with heels and just press the hands gently into the tops of the legs. And then come back onto hands and knees. Let's go ahead and lower all the way to the floor. Keep the hands about chest width apart, and then just press up into an upward dog. And come back down. And let's press up onto the hands and knees. Back up into downward dog, pressing down through those heels. And then this time, let's bring that left knee down and bring that right foot forward between the hands. And we're going to go through a couple of runner's poses and with a little bit of the twist just to get an extra deep stretch. So we're just going to lift that left foot up and just try to sink into this here. Keep breathing. It's easy to want to stop taking deep breaths and hold your breath, but try to work against that. And then let's go ahead, drop that left knee down. We're going to come up and place our left elbow on that right knee, and then bring the hands together into a prayer pose and just settle in. You want to keep a little bit of flexion in this knee because you might be a little wobbly going from side to side. And then come back down. And let's step that right leg back. Come up into downward dog. Come back to the knees. Let's step that left foot forward into a runner's pose, lifting the right leg up. And then drop that right knee down. Come up. This time, let's just take that right elbow to the left knee. Hands together. And then come back down. Let's step that left leg back. Back up into downward dog. And then let's just walk the feet forward into a standing forward bend, letting the top of the body just release and relax. And then very slowly roll yourself up to standing. Come in to a mountain pose, shoulders back, grounding the feet, Spread the toes. Let's go ahead, take those arms overhead, left wrist in the right hand, and stretch over to that right side. And back to center, and release. Bring the arms back up. Right wrist in the left hand, and stretch to that left side. And back to center, and release. Let's go ahead, step those feet a little bit wider apart. Hinge forward from the hips, bringing the hands down. Take a few nice deep breaths here. Try to release any tension you're holding on to in the lower back and down through the legs. And we're just going to bend that right knee and keep the hands right where they are. Breathe through this. If this gets too intense, come back to neutral for a minute and then come back in. Back to center, and then come down towards that left side. And again, take your time here. Adjust by coming up and then sinking back into it. Back to center. Let's go ahead and keep that right hand down. And just extend up with that left arm. Now be mindful of your neck with this. For me, I keep my head down or to the side. If you're able to look up, go for it. And then back down. Just reverse here. Left hand stays down, right hand comes up. And back down. And then slowly walk yourself back up. Walk the feet back in to a mountain pose. And we're going to work on tree pose tonight a little bit. So let's start by taking that left ankle, placing it gently against the right leg, and you can just rest it there. Just get the feel of this, get the shift of balance between the left and the right. Try to keep the hips open. And then if you want, you can come over to a wall, putting your right hand on that. And then let's take that left foot up onto the leg. And wherever this leg rests is perfect. If it's down here, that's great. Here, anywhere. It doesn't matter where the placement of your foot is. It's where you can start to feel that openness through the groin, the pelvis, and the hips. And if you feel steady, once you have your foot where you want it to be, you can take the hands and bring them to the chest. You can extend the arms out, or you can bring the arms up. And then release. Come on down. And I want to point out here too, you don't have to hold that the whole time. So if you come in and out of this as your body is wavering from side to side, that's totally fine. Okay, don't sweat that. Let's do the other side. So let's stick that right heel against that left leg. Get a feel for this first. And then bring that right leg up on, or the right foot up onto the left leg. And if you feel steady here, you can stay here. If you want to start by putting your hand against the wall, it's learning to trust yourself and that it's okay if you start to tip or you have to put your foot down. It doesn't matter. If you want to put your hands to your heart, go ahead. Out to the sides or overhead. And then release. Come back down. Nice work. And remember that any of the balancing poses we do are going to be very different from day to day. So don't be alarmed if one day you can rock it out and the next day you have to keep putting your foot down. It's okay. Let's go ahead, take another deep breath in here. All the way down to standing forward bend, down into a squat. If you can, bring the hands to the knees or just leave them on the floor. Roll those shoulders back. And then bring the hands back to center. And let's go ahead, come all the way down. And let's come into or onto our backs. Extend that left leg out. Let's just bring that right knee into the chest. And as you're squeezing this knee in towards you, at the same time, focus on grounding the left side of the body. And then take the left hand to the outside of that right knee. Bring that right leg over towards the left. And where you want to stop with this leg is where you can start to feel it down through the glute and through the hip. If it starts to pull too much, ease up because you can always go back and go deeper each time. You don't have to go all the way down. And then come back to center. Let's squeeze that right knee in one more time. And release that right knee. Ground that right side down, bend the left knee in. And take that right hand to the outside of the left knee. Bring it over the body to the right. Nice deep breaths. Try to keep that left shoulder into the floor. Come back to center. Let's just hug that left knee in again. And release. Walk those feet together. Let the knees drop open to the sides. And when you're in this reclined position, you want to focus on two things. You want to focus on opening through the top of the body and the hips. And then secondly, releasing the weight of those legs towards the ground. So even if they don't get very far down, if you're up here, that's okay. It doesn't matter. It's this opening movement that's going to help. And just let the hands rest on the belly. And just feel the rise and fall of each breath. Let's go ahead and just extend those arms overhead, getting a stretch all the way through the fingertips. Letting the shoulders and arms relax on the floor. Let's bring those arms around and let the arms relax to the sides, extending the legs out, letting the feet fall apart. And just let the entire back of the body and the weight of the body sink into the floor. And just let the top of the body feel light and open. Let's just take a couple more nice deep breaths here. And then let's bend the knees up. Go ahead and roll yourself back up to seated position. Come back into a simple cross-legged pose. And keeping the butt grounded, we're just going to walk those hands out in front. And then just walk the hands over to that left side. Back to center. Over to the right side. Back to center. Come back up. Just go ahead, take a nice deep breath. Inhale those arms overhead. Exhale, release. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, release. Bring the hands to the heart. Thank you for joining me, and on New Year's Eve, I hope to see you here for a little bit longer practice and some detoxification. Namaste.